or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports retired General David Petraeus will not be demoted in rank after pleading guilty to charges of mishandling classified material. Stephen C. Hedger, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Legislative Affairs, wrote Friday in a brief letter to the Senate Armed Services Committee that Defense Secretary Ash Carter agreed with a previous Army recommendation to seek no further legal action against the former CIA director and retired U.S. Army general and considers the matter closed. In April 2015, Petraeus pled guilty in a North Carolina federal court to a misdemeanor charge that he mishandled classified information by providing 8 black books to Paula Broadwell, his biographer and mistress. The books reportedly contained code names and operational plans and other sensitive materials collected during his time commanding U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan in 2010 and 2011. Petraeus signed a statement admitting that he lied to FBI agents and that he had committed the wrongdoing while still part of the Army but retiring and assuming leadership of the CIA in 2011. Petraeus was sentenced by the Justice Department to 2 years of probation and a fine of $100,000, and the Department of Justice shared their findings with the Army, which after a review recommended Petraeus face no further punishment and keep his 4-star rank, enabling him to collect his more than $200,000 per year pension. A letter to Carter from Senators John McCain and Jack Reed recommended Petraeus not be demoted. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our Merchant Suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports the E. coli outbreak that affected dozens of Chipotle Mexican Grill customers in 9 states last year is expected to be declared over as soon as Monday, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the government's investigation. Investigators have not been able to pinpoint the ingredients responsible for the contamination. Chipotle has been grappling with a multi-state E. coli outbreak that hit the burrito chain sales and stock price. The first outbreak surfaced last October. Later, it spread to more states, and the last case of illness linked to Chipotle was reported over 2 months ago. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, most people infected with E. coli develop symptoms 3 to 4 days after contact with the germ. E. coli infections are spread by oral contact with fecal matter and can cause serious symptoms and even be life-threatening. Chipotle executives have been reassuring customers and investors that steps are being taken to tighten food safety at the popular burrito chain and that they would prevent further food poisoning outbreaks. Chipotle is expected to woo back customers with stepped-up advertising and direct outreach to its most loyal customers. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
After decades of searching the cosmos, today NASA announced that what it was really looking for was right here on planet Earth all along.
For years, we've foolishly chased after comets, moons, and stars. Outer space may be beautiful, but it's not as beautiful as the smile of a child, nor as sublime as a good bottle of wine shared among friends. Our search ends where it began, here on this big blue marble.
Astronomers say that while their telescopes were pointing at Mars, they never even noticed the planet that was right in front of them. NASA now plans to appreciate what they already have. The agency's latest report, entitled Wonder is Everywhere, Finding the Beauty in the Everyday, calls for further study of the little things that truly give life meaning.
Warm rain on a summer day, the smell of pine trees, touching the worn paper of your favorite book, that's what's always made us happy, not some asteroid a million miles away.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. And you can talk about anything that happens to be on your mind. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
Rich Paul,
and Darryl. We'll give you the latest on the Malheur Federal Wildlife Refuge. That situation, still no new videos posted to the YouTube channel Defend Your Base in the last now nearly 48 hours. So we'll give you whatever we can dig up on that. Also, the Iowa caucuses are happening tonight. Some would argue that it doesn't mean that much. I believe Rick Santorum
won the Iowa caucus in the 2012 election. Of course, he came nowhere near winning the actual election. So it'll be interesting.
It was an interesting time last time. First, they announced one winner. I think it might have been Mike Huckabee. Then they said it was Santorum, and it turned out that Ron Paul ended up with the most delegates at the convention. So maybe Darryl's piece about how the Iowa caucuses work will shed some light on how all that is possible.
So the interesting thing about Iowa, same with New Hampshire, is you can't necessarily win the nomination by winning either of those caucuses, but a poor showing in either the Iowa caucus or the New Hampshire primary can destroy your campaign.
Okay.
So you can't win it, but you can definitely lose it in either Iowa or New Hampshire.
So the actual caucus begins tonight. It hasn't happened. This isn't like an all-day-long vote thing.
Right. So caucusing and primary are completely different animals. Mm-hmm. And I've got an article that explains how the caucus works.
Let's talk about it.
So it's a thing that you have to show up and be there for. So it's not, sometime between 11 and 7, come in and fill out a paper ballot.
This is more like my understanding of the caucus is it's more of a party functionary kind of thing. Like the people who
Yes, it is exactly a party function.
Right. I mean, the people who are going to show up to this are going to be the party adherents, the people who are more serious about being members of the Republican Party. Would you say that's true?
People that care more about either the Republican or Democratic Party take part in the caucus.
I would expect to see a core of the party functionaries, but also I know that Ron Paul brought in a lot of people who one never in a million years would have predicted would have been at the caucus or involved with that.
Right, a lot of young people were brought in by Ron Paul.
Yeah, and Donald Trump may do the same thing. He may bring in a bunch of people who don't ordinarily show up for caucuses, or his people may just not show up. That's another
this is the
possibility.
Yeah.
I view a lot of the Trump support as like a mile wide and an inch deep.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll find out tonight, or at least
we'll definitely find out.
And then a week from now, on Tuesday, is going to be the New Hampshire primary.
Yes.
So, Darryl, you've got a story here. Where's it from? It's explaining.
From CNN, and it's basically a Q&A sort of thing, or an FAQ. So start time is 7 o'clock Central Time, so starts in less than an hour, and you have to be there when it begins.
Or they lock you out.
They lock the doors.
Okay.
So if you're not there, they lock you out. So that's the primary difference between a primary and a caucus is caucus, you show up, you're there until it's over.
Got it.
And the two
you
parties,
can't leave?
Well, you could leave in
but
theory,
you
but you can't get back in because they lock the doors.
So no
which means
breaks.
you lose your vote. Because you have to keep voting during the night.
You have to remain there until it's completely finished.
All right.
And the two caucuses, the Republican caucus and Democratic caucus, operate completely separate ways. And CNN says that the GOP caucus is the simpler one. The caucus begins with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then activists get straight to the main event, selecting their presidential candidates in a binding vote. Each campaign gets the chance to have a representative make the final pitch to any wavering voters before a secret ballot. Some caucus sites might use a printed paper ballot. Others just go with a candidate's name on a scrap of paper. Raw totals of votes are tallied by local party officials and sent to the Iowa GOP headquarters, where running counts are kept. The Democratic one is a little more intricate. As soon as the meeting opens, attendees must declare a preference for a candidate. Typically, backers of each presidential hopeful physically stake out positions around the room. People who still can't make up their mind join a group known as uncommitted. This is where it gets complicated. In order to be considered viable, a group must clear a certain threshold, usually around 15% of the entire caucus turnout in each precinct.
Okay. And there are only three. Are there three candidates there, or are there just a bunch? Are there like 20-something like there are on the New Hampshire ballot?
Well, because there's no ballot,
right?
In theory, they could have 300 million people.
Okay. Well,
because
there's not gonna be
that's
that many people
roughly how many people live in the U.S. There's about 300 million people. So, there is no ballot.
So the idea is the
well,
people...
you could have as many people as you have at the caucus, because could one person put forward more than one candidate?
No. So,
okay,
so what you're
that
saying
would
is
be your maximum.
So the maximum is the number of people in the room, not 300 million. But what you're saying is each of the individuals in the room goes into a group and stands with other people who agree with that candidate.
And there's 3 main Democratic Party candidates. There are several others that are like lesser candidates.
Yep.
I would not even really consider Vermin to be a lesser candidate, and here's why. Because Vermin's only gotten on one ballot. There are other people like Rocky de la Fuente who's gotten on like a dozen of the ballots so far, but he's not getting any media publicity at all. So there are candidates that have gotten on more than just the New Hampshire primary.
But you don't consider Vermin to be a lesser candidate?
He's definitely a lesser candidate, but he's not someone who is seriously seeking the Democratic Party's nomination.
Well, I mean, he's running a campaign. I mean, how do you know it's not serious?
He's running a campaign only in New Hampshire.
He wants to give everyone a pony, and that sounds like a serious promise.
Yes, he's running a campaign, but again, Ian, you are not listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Okay, what am I missing?
There are 51 different states and plus D.C., 50 states plus D.C., that choose delegates to the Democratic Party National Convention.
Yeah.
There's only one of those ballots that Vermin Supreme is going to appear on.
Right, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Because it's the first primary in the nation. But that doesn't mean that he couldn't have a showing in Iowa. From what you just said, there's no ballot.
He could have a showing in Iowa, but he's not going to be on any other primary ballot. Rocky de la Fuente has qualified for, I think, every other primary ballot that's had a filing deadline so far.
Okay.
There are others that have, I just don't remember their names. So when I say lesser candidates, I'm meaning, people that are actually putting forth an effort to be on more than one ballot.
I gotcha.
So by that count, no, Vermin Supreme is not what I would consider to be an actual Democratic Party candidate.
What do you consider
Yes,
him?
He's on a ballot.
How many ballots are you on,
I
Darryl
consider
W.
him one of the world's great performance artists.
How many ballots are you on, Darryl?
Right now, I'm on at least 2.
Okay, so you're doing better than Vermin. Is it when you get your second presidential ballot that you become a serious candidate? Because you've been serious the entire time.
The Libertarian Party only has like 4 primary ballots that they're even on. So the fact that I'm on at least half of them, would show some kind of semblance of, effort.
Well, I think Vermin's putting a lot of effort in.
He's putting effort into campaigning only in New Hampshire.
It's an important place to campaign. If you've got a limited budget...
I'm not saying it's not.
If you've got
if Vermin won New Hampshire, don't you think that the publicity would propel him to a win across the nation?
I think it would definitely get him on some more.
Because he's not going to be on... Winning New Hampshire does not get him on ballots that had filing deadlines 2 months ago.
But it could still create a grassroots groundswell of support that could result in him winning some caucuses. It could result in, an explosion of Vermin Supreme. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. I think you're a serious candidate, and I think he's seriously funny and is, serious about making an impact for what he thinks is important. So I wouldn't rank him as a non-candidate. He's out there, he's campaigning, he's making campaign stops and appearances, and I'd say he's doing as much as you are, Darryl. He just hasn't been as successful. It hasn't tried to get on other ballots.
He's looking very presidential, I'll say.
Yeah, it's Free Talk Live. Join us.
Ew, get the stinky dog away from me.
Petey stopped eating. All his hair fell out.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Bad breath and bad gas.
Chew himself raw, sticky, gooey, smelly. She scratched incessantly.
At least $5,000 in vet bill. And all it took was one container of Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Adding Dynavite to their diet has
every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
The shedding is stopped and the itching is stopped.
Tons of energy, no more bad smell.
She has gotten this puppy look. Her coat has sheen.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynavite. My vet was completely blown away.
Dynavite's the bomb.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help, so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-430-4505. 800-430-4505. 800-430-4505. That's 800-430-4505.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we do have a Skype username, LRN.FM. So you don't have to talk about the Iowa caucus. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really matter who wins. But it's a kind of a curiosity of how the whole thing works. I've never been to a caucus before. So Darryl's telling us about the details on that. And you can share your thoughts on whatever happens to be on your mind. We also have a website at freetalklive.com where you can create the content right there. Completely free. It's a Reddit-based system. You can submit different items to that, and then other listeners can vote as to whether or not they like or dislike what you've submitted. And if you want to help Free Talk Live out, you can shop with us. Go to shop.freetalklive.com and enter Amazon through the links you'll find there. There's Amazon US, Amazon Canada, and Amazon UK. You click into the right one for you, and Free Talk Live gets a cut of the sale. Very, very simple, easy to do. We'll give you an update on the latest from the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge when we get a chance. There's been a rally in the nearby town of Burns, Oregon, to support them. We'll share more with that. And again, our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, plus the Free State Project, less than 75 signers away from 100%. We'll definitely get deeper into that as well. So, Darryl, you were telling us about the Democratic version of the caucus, which isn't getting as much hubbub around it, and it's a little bit more of a complicated process.
Yes.
So what you've described so far, if I'm understanding correctly, is the people who are in the room for this caucus, I presume, are both of these things, the Republican and Democrat, open to just voters who are registered as Republicans or Democrats, or do you have to actually be like a party member, like a member in good standing or something?
Registered voters.
Okay, so anyone who's a registered voter can go into this place where they're having this thing, then they go over to where their candidate had like a specific area where a representative from each candidate is standing, purportedly.
Yes.
And then they sort of group off into who they support. That's what I've seen so far.
Yes, that's the way the Democrats do it. The Republicans will have either a printed ballot at the precinct or just a scratched piece of paper, and then you write down who it is that you're voting for.
Now, how many precincts are there in Iowa? Slightly over 1,000?
I don't have that number in front of me, but I can try to find that unless Ian wants to do a Google search.
I'll see what I can do.
But
you said the Democratic thing got more complicated once people get grouped off.
The Democratic thing gets more complicated once people start grouping off. In order to be considered a viable group, the group must clear a certain threshold, usually around 15% of the turnout in that precinct. Once the first-round votes are tallied, anyone stuck in a group not deemed viable has the chance to align with a candidate who has passed the threshold. And from what I understand, people that are in a group...
So they wipe out anyone less than 15% first round.
Right. And if you're in a group, let's say you're in the Vermin Supreme group, Ian, and Vermin winds up only getting 14%. You can go to a different group, and then people from whatever group you go to, they could be like, I don't want to be in the same group with Ian. They can go to the candidate that is leading, or they can go to another candidate. So you're not stuck with your group once you get to a group.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can change your mind
sure,
during the caucus.
It does say here on the Wikipedia page that Iowa has 1,682 precincts. So they don't all just go to one room, huh? This is done at different locations?
Correct. So each precinct...
Okay.
With a primary, you've got a polling place.
Okay.
With a caucus, there's a polling place. It's just not open all day. You show up during caucus time.
Yep.
And if you're not there before the door closes, you don't get in.
See, I was envisioning like a big concert hall or something.
No. It's not a convention. It's not a party convention.
So there are thousands of these things going on simultaneously tonight then.
Yes.
Got it. So the Democrats and the Republicans are actually going to the same place. They're going to at the same time.
I don't think they're in the same place at the same. I think there's in each one of these towns there's going to be the place for the Democratic caucus and a place for the Republican caucus.
Okay.
So it's not happening in the same room at the same time.
A different location in the same precinct.
Yes.
That's the idea. Wow, this is complicated.
Yes. So the article now says, this year it's unlikely that supporters of Martin O'Malley, who is scraping along at low single digits in the polls, will struggle at many caucus meetings to form a viable coalition. The former Maryland governor thinks differently, saying at a CNN town hall Monday night, quote, "My message to the O'Malley supporters across the state is this: hold strong at your caucus." CNN continues by saying, but it's one of the cruel realities of the caucuses that if the O'Malley pack is too small, all the determination in the world will not be enough, and his supporters will have to decide whether to join backers of either former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton or Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders during a second count known as a realignment period. They then ask the question, is that the only difference? No. A controversial aspect of the Democratic caucus is the lack of secret ballot.
Because everyone's standing there seeing each other.
Yes.
That's interesting.
That means
so social pressure's on.
People will have to live with the vote they cast in front of their friends and neighbors for the next 4 years, and the faint of heart may be susceptible to pressure from more vociferous contemporaries. Thus, a candidate who wins the first round of a caucus is not home safe. They can still end up losing if their supporters fail to win over backers of candidates eliminated for not passing the threshold, and instead see that support goes elsewhere. One reason why the organization and training of precinct captains is so crucial for campaigns.
Still, hold that thought. I want to know more about this idea of, non-secret ballot, because there's an argument. There's obviously a strong argument against that. But what's the argument for it? The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to George listening in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, George. George in California. Going once? George.
What do you think is going to happen if Hillary...
Yes, sir.
I'm here.
Yes, you are here now. Go ahead.
Okay. What do you guys think is going to happen if Hillary actually gets indicted?
I have no idea.
I would predict a trial.
It depends on when she gets indicted to determine whether or not it impacts her campaign or not.
Right, but if it happens in July, it's too late for anybody else to get on the ballot.
Depending on when in July, because the Democratic Party's convention is not until, I believe, the middle or towards the end of July.
This is about the email thing?
And there's also a deadline. There's a deadline for getting on the ballot. You can't, it's passed for most states already. You can't get on the ballot anymore.
No, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are on the ballot automatically. And
correct.
The state officials filed papers after the presidential convention. So if let's just say that it winds up she gets indicted 3 weeks after the national convention, there might be processes to where they could wind up, if they've not filed paperwork, to where they can say, no, here's our nominee. But even if there's not necessarily a process on the books, because it's the Republicans and Democrats that wind up sitting in the seats of power as secretaries of state, they'll do what they need to make sure she's on the ballot.
Pull the strings.
And there's actually something interesting about Texas in 2008 that I'll talk about.
George, hold it. If you've got more, George, you can stand by. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If she is indicted, what will the charges be and what's she facing? It's Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hey guys, Pat Matthews here to tell you all about the newest and best way to sell your products online. It's buysellmakeoffer.com, a brand new site to sell your stuff online. Your old golf clubs, sports equipment, tools, and yes, even your car. Forget about the other guys. Buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge you item fees. Go to the website now and sign up so that you can soon load all your stuff up to sell. This is not an auction site. Just use our resources along with Skype and videos to sell your items quickly and with no fees. Go right now to user-friendly buysellmakeoffer.com, where the first 30 days are on us.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement, and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the idea of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us here toll-free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The beginning of the 2016 primary season is officially upon us with the caucuses happening in Iowa tonight. Darryl's giving us some detail on exactly what that means for those of us who've never been involved in such caucusi or caucusing in the past. You can join us here at 855-450-FREE. Also, Skype into the show at username LRN.FM. There's a movement in healthcare today of people ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. People like you and I who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement sweeping the nation, and you should be part of it. Liberty Health Share is leading that movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty Health Share is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement and change healthcare for good at joinlhs.com. That's join LHS, like Liberty Health Share, joinlhs.com, or call them toll free, 800-722-8041. That's 800-722-8041. 8041. We just had a gentleman call in, and he dropped off the line about Hillary and these purported charges, an indictment that might come down against her for what you said, I think, while we were off the air, Darryl, about mishandling classified data. She sent some data through a private email server.
She had all of her emails, the official Secretary of State emails, while she was Secretary of State. She had all of those running through her private server that was in her home office in New York. And there are rules and regulations about government employees not being allowed to run email through a private server. They're supposed to run everything through the official government servers. And a lot of the info that she had on her server was classified. Some of it was above classified, so what they call the
top secret.
Top secret. And so some of that has not been made public. Most of what was going through her server has been made public. Even the classified stuff, they just went through and redacted a bunch of stuff. But the top secret, they said, yeah, this is too classified. We can't even redact it to make it public. So these 22 emails are not going to wind up being made public. But the question that the caller had was specifically about candidate who would be on the ballot if Hillary was the nominee and then got indicted. And
presuming that anyone would change it out. I mean, because I would think they'd back their candidate in this case. It's not like she raped somebody.
True.
Well, her husband did, and they backed him, so...
Yeah. Right, but if the Democratic Party did decide that, we want somebody else, if Hillary said, you know what, I got to go to jail, so I can't run a campaign, I'm withdrawing.
Going to jail. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
I'm just saying if.
Yeah.
So if something happened and she withdrew after the convention in July, there are processes in most states for switching out a candidate. And I would presume that in the states that don't have those processes in their statutes, the secretaries of state would wind up making up an excuse, make up a reason to allow it.
There was that one guy who was on the ballot as a corpse, though. Remember that? Like, it was a few years ago. I think he beat John Ashcroft. Remember John Ashcroft was like the attorney general for
it was
George
the guy
Bush?
That died 3 days before the election.
Oh, was that close? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was just, like a couple days beforehand.
That was one of my favorite elections of all time because a dead guy beat John Ashcroft on the ballot. I thought that was awesome.
Right, and it was one of those things. He died, and the party said, okay, if you vote for this guy, his wife will take office.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they already had a surrogate.
So they got something, yeah. Okay.
But in Texas, back in 2008, and this is something that most people are not familiar with, both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party failed to properly notify the Secretary of State of who their candidate was going to be.
Oops.
And
the rules got bent.
The rules got bent. The only candidate that properly met the deadline was Bob Barr from the Libertarian Party.
We can't have that. I mean, can't have the Libertarian Party being the only candidate.
Texas Secretary of State, and I believe this went to court, and I forget exactly how the court ruled, but things were changed to make exceptions.
It would be too iconoclastic. They couldn't have someone not seeing Democrats and Republicans on the ballot. It would blow people's minds. They wouldn't be able to process it.
Yeah.
You know what? Just before we go on here, there's another call I think about Hillary. We'll get into that here, but it's interesting looking at the Republican sort of news sites crowing about Hillary's supposed impending indictment, as though, ha, we got her, go get them, though the feds are going to do
doing
anything.
This for over a year.
Right.
There have been these articles for over a year.
I know.
Been all of these Benghazi hearings.
And the idea is okay, you really believe they're going to go after Hillary Clinton? You really think that even if they bring her an indictment because they have to make it look like they're still adhering to their rules or something, because otherwise they'd lose more legitimacy in people's eyes, even if they bring an indictment, she's not going to go to prison over this. They're going to say, here's a $100,000 fine, like they apparently did with General Petraeus.
Yeah, David Petraeus took a plea, wound up getting some probation, paid a fine.
Yeah.
And then there were recommendation letters coming from Congress and some military organization somewhere.
Hillary's got $100,000.
He did not get a demotion, and he keeps his $200,000 a year pension.
Sweet. I mean, you really can't beat that. She's got $100,000. These politicians likely have millions of dollars.
What Petraeus did, I would dare say, is worse than what Hillary did. Because David Petraeus handed over classified information to his mistress, who was also his biographer. Here you go, sweetie. Here's reams of classified stuff. Go write my biography.
If you want to join us here, the toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. So color me, not really concerned about the impending fantasized jail term for Hillary Clinton. I mean, look, I wouldn't mind seeing politicians actually have to go to jail because then they'd know what it's like. But this is not going to happen. She's protected. She's one of the protected class.
I'm one of the few libertarians that does not advocate jail for politicians. Not because I don't think that they're horrible people, but they're already getting, food, housing, everything else paid for at taxpayer expense. If you send them to jail, they're still going to wind up getting their food, housing, and everything else paid for at taxpayer expense. I think that what should be done is eliminate their pensions and make them actually work in the private sector and, be productive people.
Get her a job at McDonald's. Let's go to Joe listening in Morris,
she'd probably
Alabama.
screw up my burger. And
Yeah, these politicians don't know how to work. They've been politicianing all the time. Go ahead, Joe. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I think that'd be great if they had to go get a real job. What I was wondering is a far-fetched if President Obama would pardon Hillary, and then if she got to be president, she would put him on the Supreme Court along with her husband. Would that be possible at all that we would have Bill Clinton on the Supreme Court with the...
Well, they'd have to open up a Supreme Court seat because they generally go until they retire.
It's, largely presumed that one or two justices that are getting up in their 70s are probably going to retire in the next 4 years.
Do they ever put non-attorney or I guess, is Bill Clinton an attorney?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't think he's practiced in a long time. Generally, what they do for Supreme Court justices is promote somebody that's been a federal court judge at the appeals court level.
Right.
But in theory,
they could break from that.
In theory, you could wind up putting a non-practicing attorney that's never been a judge on the Supreme Court. It would be incredibly odd, but it could happen.
Judge Napolitano, I always thought would be a great Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, not going to happen in our lifetime. Hey, thanks for the call, Joe. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The Iowa caucus is just minutes away from starting. Darryl, you were still, I don't know if we finished up the explanation of how the Democratic side of things works with people using... they're not using secret ballots there, and so that kind of changes how all of it plays out, or it could. It's Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveatpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. Following sharp increases yesterday, in early trading on Wednesday, gold is $2 lower at $1,118 per ounce. Silver is down 3 cents at $14.54 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $395 US. We have plenty of new 2016 Silver American Eagles in stock. Get yours online at rrbi.co or give us a call at 800-874-9760.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us toll free. 855-450-FREE is the number. That's 855-450-3733. As the Iowa caucuses are about to get started in approximately 15 minutes or so in Iowa. Darryl has been giving us details on how it all plays out, both the Republican and Democrat versions. The Republican version a little more simple than the Democrat version, where there's a group of people in each caucus. They then go over to where their representatives are from each candidate, and they sort of group up.
That's how the Democrats do.
Democrats, that's what I was talking about.
The Republicans use a secret ballot.
Right. And is it just one vote in the Republicans, or are there more than one vote in the Republicans?
It sounds as though there's only one vote.
Okay.
But my understanding of some of the things that happened back in 2008 and 2012 both is that some of the groups realized that they might not have enough support to win, so they were making these sort of insider deals of, we'll throw our support to you if you can get a hold of your people over in another precinct to support us, and then we'll split the delegates up at a later point. So, there are ways that little backroom deals can be made in the Republican caucuses, but it's not as transparent, if you will, as in the Democratic caucus.
Whereas in the Democratic caucus, people are in a room and then they walk over into groups that support each of their candidates. Then there's a first cutting, if you will, of the lower performing candidates.
If there's anybody under a certain threshold, and they say it's generally around 15%.
Then those guys get eliminated, and then whoever was voting for the lower vote-getting candidates then can move to a different. Anyone can move around to a different candidate.
Anybody can move around after that first tally.
For a second vote at that point. But as you're pointing out, this is not secret. So when somebody's friend walks over on the other side of the room, there's going to be that pressure of, do you join your friend? Does your friend want to leave from where you're standing? And, are people saying things like, I'm not going to like you anymore if you go and vote for so-and-so?
Right.
What levels of social pressure are going on within this room? Because these are people who live in the same community who are voting together.
Yes, oftentimes the same neighborhood, not just the same municipality.
Right. So what do you think about that? I know there's more to how it all works, but obviously the argument for the secret ballot is you can vote for who you really want to vote for. Is there a reason to have a not secret ballot?
Irreputability is the first one. If we did not use secret ballots, then, you could actually publish who voted for whom, and then people, if somebody's vote was miscounted and it says on the list, you voted for Sanders, and you say, no, I voted for Paul.
So you don't have to trust a vote counter with a...
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the biggest benefit to non-secret ballots.
And there's also, from a party perspective, and this is something that we see at least a small movement of within the New Hampshire State House, there's a group that wants to be able to punish their party member people for not going along with the party line.
Yeah.
And we saw this after the Speaker of the House election last year, to where somebody that was not the party's nominee wound up getting elected as Speaker of the House, and a bunch of people wound up getting upset and saying, like, these people should wind up having to be punished, but we don't know how to punish them because we don't know who voted this way, so there should not be a secret ballot for Speaker elections. But yet these are the same people that want to not use a roll call for every vote. And I've called them out on their hypocrisy of, wait a second, if you're claiming transparency, then shouldn't every vote you make be a roll call?
Absolutely.
And they said, no, because that would be too arduous. So you want to pick and choose how you play politics.
Sure. All right, let's continue.
So once the final vote is complete, local officials work out how many delegates from a precinct each candidate gets to send to the local county convention, which is the next step in a process that will end at the national convention in July.
Oh, my God. So this isn't like a one-day thing, even close to it. This is a multi-tiered stage.
So you wind up, each one of the precincts winds up electing delegates to the county convention.
And I'm sorry, is that true of both the Republican and Democrats? Okay.
County convention then elects delegates to the state convention.
Okay.
State convention then elects delegates to the national convention.
Ugh.
So, yes, this is not just a one-day thing, but the results from this are the only thing that really get publicized.
Because what you were telling me...
And then at a later point, they wind up saying, oh, and this is how many delegates Ron Paul got.
So I think Rich was saying a little while ago off the air was that Ron Paul got 22 out of 28?
22 of the 28 delegates in 2012.
In Iowa.
Rick Santorum, who actually won the caucus, wound up with 0 delegates.
Interesting.
Mitt Romney, who came in second, had 6 delegates.
Now, how long between the vote or the caucus tonight and the county thing? The county thing.
Months, maybe?
Yeah. Now, I think it may well be that Santorum had already dropped out of the race. Obviously, it was at some point before the national convention when he dropped out of the race.
Right.
I wonder if that had something to do with his ending up with 0 delegates.
Possibly.
If his delegates were able then to reselect again.
That's very possible, because there was the whole thing of... It was just a couple of votes between Santorum and Romney, and I think Romney wound up getting announced as the winner, so Romney carried on momentum into New Hampshire. Santorum started losing momentum and then dropped out a couple weeks after New Hampshire, I believe. So, yeah, that's probably why he wound up with 0 delegates. But it's still, delegates aren't necessarily decided tonight.
Yeah.
But they can project a number of delegates.
I'll tell you something. I used to be a great lover of the Constitution, and I have to say that having seen the bizarre machinations of American politics, that I would much rather see a parliamentary system with proportional representation than this monster. How can you tell if they're following the rules if nobody even really understands what the rules are?
And the first
that
rule
seems
is
to be
we
the
can
case.
change the first rule is we can change the rules when we want to.
Which is what they did to the Ron Paul supporters back in 2012 and 2008.
Both 08 and 2012, and they were doing it before that. Back in 2000, they were changing rules because John McCain was getting support. So they changed the rules when it fits them to change the rules.
They literally silenced them. They turned off their microphones. They banned them from the auditorium.
Turning off the microphone, that's not changing a rule. That's just being an a-hole.
Well, I mean,
there's no rule that you don't vote to... Do we turn off the microphone now?
But that's
not
an
a
indicator
rule.
that they don't have any respect for their own process, right? The idea is if there's a microphone and candidate supporters are able to go and speak at that microphone, and then you turn off the microphone to where the Ron Paul supporters cannot actually have their voices heard, there may not be a rule saying you can't turn the microphone off, but it's just good common sense that,
Now, one thing that I really wonder is what's going to happen if they try the same kind of dirty tricks on Donald Trump that they tried on Ron Paul.
That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
I can see that happening because they're at least, I mean, I don't know if they're trying to appear not to like him or if they actually don't like him.
The establishment doesn't like Donald Trump.
They're definitely making that kind of noises.
So let me jump through a little bit more info. Ian, you had asked earlier about who can vote. And as I suspected, it's only registered Democrats and Republicans. So independent voters don't get to show up.
Okay.
So you have to be a registered member of, registered voter of either of the parties.
Okay.
Do they have same-day registration like ours?
Doubtful.
I don't believe they do.
Very few states have same-day. I don't know what the number is, but I don't think it's too many.
And generally, caucus participation, they say, has been around 20% of registered voters in each of the parties. In 2004, there were 500,000 registered Democrats in Iowa, but only 124,000 showed up on caucus night. In 2012, there were 614,000 registered Republicans. 121,000 showed up. And 2008.
Wait, did you say there were 1-point-something million registered Democrats? Did I miss
500,000?
Oh, 500,000. Okay.
And 124,000 showed up.
Okay, got it.
In 2008, it was an anomaly because there was the hotly contested Democratic primary between Clinton and Obama, and that wound up having a pretty decent turnout of about 240,000 Democrats out of 500,000.
Does it say who won versus Clinton and Obama back in 2008, the caucus?
Probably somewhere in here, but I don't see
855
it.
450 free. Join us on Free Talk Live.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, February 1st, 2016. Silver is trading at $14.27 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,122 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $378. Antiwar.com reports throughout the first 9 months of the Saudi war in Yemen, Saudi officials have faced repeated criticism from human rights groups over the disproportionate number of civilians being killed in their airstrikes. Up until now, the Saudis denied the killings. On Sunday, however, Saudi coalition officials are promising changes to their airstrike targeting, expressing great regret for the civilian toll, and say that U.S. and British military experts will be advising them on how to get the civilian toll down. Of course, the U.S. has been involved in the Saudi war from the start and has repeatedly been reported to be involved in targeting advice throughout. It is unclear then what exactly will be changing except for the promise to reduce the number of civilians killed. The move was likely prompted by last week's UN report leaked to media outlets, which warned the Saudis were systematically targeting civilians and deliberately starving the Yemeni population with their naval blockade, warning it could amount to crimes against humanity. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports retired General David Petraeus will not be demoted in rank after pleading guilty to charges of mishandling classified material. Stephen C. Hedger, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Legislative Affairs, wrote Friday in a brief letter to the Senate Armed Services Committee that Defense Secretary Ash Carter agreed with a previous Army recommendation to seek no further legal action against the former CIA director and retired U.S. Army general and considers the matter closed. In April 2015, Petraeus pled guilty in a North Carolina federal court to a misdemeanor charge that he mishandled classified information by providing 8 black books to Paula Broadwell, his biographer and mistress. The books reportedly contained code names and operational plans and other sensitive materials collected during his time commanding U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan in 2010 and 2011. Petraeus signed a statement admitting that he lied to FBI agents and that he had committed the wrongdoing while still part of the Army but retiring and assuming leadership of the CIA in 2011. Petraeus was sentenced by the Justice Department to 2 years of probation and a fine of $100,000, and the Department of Justice shared their findings with the Army, which after a review recommended Petraeus face no further punishment and keep his 4-star rank, enabling him to collect his more than $200,000 per year pension. A letter to Carter from Senators John McCain and Jack Reed recommended Petraeus not be demoted. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports the E. coli outbreak that affected dozens of Chipotle Mexican Grill customers in 9 states last year is expected to be declared over as soon as Monday, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the government's investigation. Investigators have not been able to pinpoint the ingredients responsible for the contamination. Chipotle has been grappling with a multi-state E. coli outbreak that hit the burrito chain sales and stock price. The first outbreak surfaced last October. Later, it spread to more states, and the last case of illness linked to Chipotle was reported over 2 months ago. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, most people infected with E. coli develop symptoms 3 to 4 days after contact with the germ. E. coli infections are spread by oral contact with fecal matter and can cause serious symptoms and even be life-threatening. Chipotle executives have been reassuring customers and investors that steps are being taken to tighten food safety at the popular burrito chain and that they would prevent further food poisoning outbreaks. Chipotle is expected to woo back customers with stepped-up advertising and direct outreach to its most loyal customers. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
For the past several years now, area woman Caitlin Mooney has been convinced that each and every one of her friends should be a professional comedian. Our reporters spoke to Caitlin this morning about her, quote, hilarious group of friends.
Karen is so funny. Like, I can't even explain it. She's always just saying whatever on her mind. She has this totally sassy attitude. You just can't help but laugh. My roommate Rashmi, she always has these hilarious stories that, they're just too much. I'm always telling her that she should just go up on stage and talk. Everyone would love it.
Mooney went on to say that her good friend Lauren is so funny she could, quote, definitely be on Saturday Night Live or The Office, a sentiment she echoed about a number of her other acquaintances, including her childhood friend Marcia, her college roommate Angela, her coworker Julie, and even her sister Jennifer.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Join us toll free here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The latest from the Malheur Federal Wildlife Refuge. We'll share that with you here. Actually, what's happening outside of the refuge is what's making news today. The Associated Press reporting on a rally with hundreds supporting the people in the wildlife refuge. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Also, Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
Rich Paul.
And Darryl.
And, of course, you can bring up anything that you want. The Iowa caucuses just getting rolling, and we've talked in detail in the first hour of the show about how they work. What is the process in these caucuses? They're slightly different between the Republican and Democratic. Actually, you could argue much different because the Democrats are an open ballot, meaning that you're voting with your feet and people can see who you're voting for, who are there, whereas the Republicans have a secret ballot. As Rich Paul pointed out, the visible ballot, there's a benefit there because then you know how your vote was cast. You know it's being counted accurately. But on the other side, there's also the possible social pressures that may make it so some people would vote in a way they otherwise wouldn't because they want to impress their friends or not be seen as supporting someone that they support.
And I think when you move into one of those groups, you're not technically voting for them, but caucusing with them.
Okay.
I think that's the vernacular.
You're technically caucusing with them, but your presence in that group is counted.
It does constitute a vote.
It's counted towards the total number of supporters,
which will lead to, as you were saying, Darryl, later, not tonight, but in a few weeks or whatever, there's some county caucus or whatever they call it.
County convention.
County convention where the delegates selected at the caucus go to the convention. They select more delegates, then sending them to a state convention where more delegates are then selected and then ultimately sent to the national convention.
Yes.
Now, so I guess I don't follow the Republican-Democratic process at all. To me, it doesn't matter. It's an interesting study in politics, like how these systems work.
Yes.
But whoever wins, we're going to lose. I mean, whether it's Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, or whoever, these people want to rule your life. They want to tell you how to live. They want to take your money from you. They want to spend it on their political pet programs and their connected buddies, and they want to punish their enemies. I mean, these are politicians.
Well, Rand Paul mostly wants to leave you alone. Stand with Rand.
I don't know if I'm convinced on that one. And the fact that you're kind of alone in the room on this, Rich, is an indicator that many libertarians are not convinced by Rand.
I have never. I would not have long remained a libertarian if I thought being in the minority made me wrong.
That's true. I'm not saying that's the reason you're wrong, but when you can't get libertarians on board with someone who is purported to be a libertarian, he won't say he is, but his supporters like you suggest that he's a libertarian.
Well, the amazing thing about Ron Paul is that he did get so many libertarians on board, because libertarians will throw you under the bus if they don't like the brand of pudding that you choose. I mean, it takes
I think this is more than that.
Absolutely nothing for...
At least Ron Paul would use the L word to describe himself.
He used the voluntariest word at one point in his campaign. Ron Paul, would take strong pro-liberty positions, and I just don't see that coming from Rand. In fact, some of the things he's done in office have been very not so pro-liberty at all. And so I am not impressed, and a lot of libertarians are not impressed with Rand Paul. He doesn't have the depth of the support that he once did. There was a guy here in Cheshire County who's actually an A+ rated Liberty State representative. He was on the panel at Keenvention. There was a legislative panel. And when he was at the county fair, he was wearing a Rand T-shirt, like he's on the Rand campaign. But what he was telling me was that he's not excited about getting up early and going out and doing things for Rand. He was excited about doing it for Ron. And this isn't even a libertarian. This is a self-described Republican who happens to have a A-plus voting record pro-liberty here in New Hampshire. So even his own campaign staff is not even particularly excited about his campaign.
It's definitely depressing when you spend most of your activism defending yourself against attacks from people who are supposedly on the same side and they're out to sabotage your
I don't think we're on the same side as this guy.
Activism.
I'm sorry. He's on the side of the state.
Definitely not easy. See, I don't see that at all. Did you watch the last debate?
No, I don't watch those things.
See, you studiously avoid gaining information on these candidates,
I've got enough
yet you have these really strong opinions about what they're about that you have maintained by not watching the debates, not paying attention to what they say.
I don't care what he has to say.
So if you don't pay attention to their statements, public or private, what do you pay attention to?
I have paid enough attention to his statements over years to know that he's bad news. I don't have to keep watching him move his mouth to know that he's either a statist or he's a liar. So he's one of two things, right? Because he's done things that are definitely pro-state in his time in office. And people who are coming from your position are saying that, well, he's just doing that to pander to the Republicans because he needs to get into power, so then he can bring about this wonderful land of liberty. Why look, you've got all kinds of different examples. Like, did he not say that he wanted to use a drone to, that he wouldn't have a problem with a drone being used to shoot down someone who robbed a liquor store or something like that?
His point being that a weapon is for use. Weapons are for use against people who have initiated force. So
at that point, you don't know.
The actual statement was, if somebody leaves a liquor store with a handgun and $50, both of which one could walk out of a liquor store in New Hampshire legally possessing. Quote, I don't care if a policeman kills him or a drone kills him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Innocent until proven guilty.
Well, it sounds like, that's a pretty idiotic thing. Obviously, he means that this person is in the course of a robbery. He's not talking about a random open carrier. And to pretend that he is not only stupid, it's dishonest.
To kill somebody and shoot him in the back because they
did he say in the back? I don't remember that being in the quote.
He didn't say in the back.
Okay, so let's criticize his words, not your words.
Yeah. So if he's running away, you would presume it'd be in the back. But I get what you're saying. It could have been in the front, in front of the chest. But to kill someone without a trial, that's what he's arguing for, is to just get rid of due process. You've got somebody running out of a store.
No, he's not arguing to get rid of due process. That's an absolute absurdity. What he's saying is a drone is a weapon like any other. The exact quote was, I don't care if it's a drone that kills him or a cop that kills him. In other words, you can kill a person with a drone in any circumstances where a policeman would be justified in killing that person.
And in my opinion, you are not justified in killing somebody if they haven't actually hurt another person. This is somebody, yes, robbery is a pretty serious thing. There's no doubt about it. But I don't support the idea of police just killing someone because they believe they've committed a felony. Do you?
I think you continue to completely misrepresent
Is
what
that what
he's
you
saying.
support?
What he said was,
we can find more
there's
quotes.
no difference between killing him with a drone and killing him with any other weapon. He's not. What?
So you're saying
I don't even understand how you could draw these conclusions unless you're just saying I can twist the words this way and it kind of fits syntactic rules.
So what you're saying though is that you don't think that he supported using the drone in that instance. You were just saying that he was drawing a
I think
comparison.
that he would support using the drone in exactly the instance where he would support using a revolver, a bomb, a knife, or any other weapon, which is defensively in response to force.
Well, he didn't make that clear, did he?
When he's describing, it's not just a matter of somebody coming out of a liquor store. He's saying that a drone could be used against somebody while they are in the process of commission of a crime. And maybe he didn't
really what
express
you want,
that.
The police
perfectly.
using drones to shoot people who are in the commission of crimes, because that will.
I don't care if it's a drone or a handgun.
You want more militarization of the police?
Well, it
Is that what
comes
you're saying?
down to exactly what an Archie Bunker Gloria conversation where she said, "Didn't you know that 30,000 people a year is killed with handguns?" And Archie says, "Would you feel better if they was pushed out a windows, little girl?"
Toll-free number tonight's 855-450-FREE. You caught me off guard here. I'll go do some digging. I'll find some even worse stuff that Rand Paul did. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Since we're going there, and you can join us as well, the Skype username is LRN.FM. I know Scott Horton believes he's evil. I think he's had some interesting things to say about Rand.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Average weight lost in a study was 8.3 pounds and 4.2 inches total in first month. Results vary. Call to cancel within 14 days and return remaining non-frozen food for a refund, less return shipping. Free shakes with first order only.
All right, guys. The holidays are over, and we have got some weight to lose. Let's do this. It's going to take pizza, some pasta, some chicken parm. Great foods. All part of the awesome new Turbo 10 program from Nutrisystem. You'll love it. Money back guaranteed. Lose up to 10 pounds and 5 inches in your first month. Look, you keep putting it off, you'll keep putting it on. So call Nutrisystem today and get 4 weeks of delicious meals and 1 week of Nutrisystem's new Turbo Shakes free. Packed with protein plus probiotics to help support digestive health and bust that gut. You'll also get a week of Nutri-Crush Shakes to crush hunger free. Come on, lose up to 10 pounds and 5 inches in your first month. Call 866-987-THIN. 866-987-THIN. Make the call. 866-987-THIN.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us right here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We are here, and of course you can bring up anything you want. It is the Iowa caucus night. That has begun about 20 minutes ago in Iowa. You can join us to talk about that or whatever happens to be on your mind. We've now diverged into Rand Paul, where Rich is the no relation, by the way. Rich Paul in the studio here tonight. You're defending Rand, not because you're related to him, but because you believe, it seems like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, you believe that he's the lesser of the evils that people should support because he won't be as damaging in your belief as the other Republicans.
Actually, I would believe that I believe that Rand Paul would be not only less damaging, but that he would be a big improvement over what we've had thus far.
But do you believe he's a libertarian?
Do I believe? Personally, I think both he and Ron Paul are voluntarists.
Why does he say he is not a libertarian?
Because he wants to participate in the Republican debates.
Well, that didn't stop Ron Paul from participating.
Ron Paul wasn't exactly forthcoming about being a voluntarist either.
No, we're talking about the word libertarian, even though Ron Paul did actually use the term voluntarist.
Ron Paul was kind of under the bus with that already. He had been the libertarian candidate for president, so he didn't have an opportunity to distance himself.
So Rand's trying to fool people, is what you're saying. He's trying to fool people into thinking he's not a libertarian?
I think to the same extent that Hillary Clinton is trying to fool people into thinking that she's not a communist, and I would say Donald Trump, but he's really not, and Ted Cruz is trying to fool people into thinking that he's not a fascist. I think I think that Ron Paul would be a small step in the right direction, as opposed to most of the others who I think would be a small step in the wrong direction.
You said Ron Paul. You mean Rand Paul?
Oh, I do mean Rand Paul.
Toll-free number tonight. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Kenny is in Iowa. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Rich, and Darryl.
Oh, my God.
Hey, Kenny. Kenny. Hey,
Kenny.
Hey, you're on the air.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to call in because you guys were talking. Well, I'll give you a little background first. I signed up for the Free State Project about 3 years ago or so, and my timetable to get out there is between April Fool's Day and about 2 weeks in April. So about beginning of April to middle of April.
Fantastic. What inspired you to join the Free State Project?
Well, I was just listening to you guys, and, I've evolved quite a bit, I would hope, since 2008. And actually, I was at the caucus, Democratic caucus. I wanted to give you a little bit of perspective on that. And first, Darryl was talking about, and you guys were talking about, when I went there in 2008, and I'm pretty much 99% sure that it's the same way now. I was an independent back then, and on the same day, you can sign up as far as the Democratic caucuses goes when you go there.
Okay.
And if I heard right, David was saying that he was looking something up on the internet.
I had info from CNN, and CNN was saying that you had to be a registered Republican or Democrat. It doesn't say in here whether or not you can, change your voter registration the same day or if you previously could in the past. And my guess is that, if it was allowed back in 2008, they've either changed the rule or CNN just did not report accurately.
Yeah, I don't think they're reporting accurately. But nonetheless, and Ian, you were talking about kind of like the social aspect or the difference between having a secret vote or a secret ballot type of thing as compared to a social thing. And excuse me, back in 2008, when I went to caucus, me and my friend went to caucus for Obama. And I've changed my thoughts about Obama quite a bit since then. But when we went to caucus for Obama, it was quite the it was very interesting because, well, first of all, we got very high before we went there.
Good plan.
Well, it actually worked out quite interesting that way because, and now this is in Des Moines.
Have you
Iowa,
ever caucused for Obama on weed?
It sounds like a better plan than going to the Donald Trump show on LSD. I don't know if you were here for that story, Rich, but that was pretty ridiculous.
Oh, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
I read about that. Yeah, no.
Horrifying. Sorry, Kenny, go ahead. So you were high as hell going into the caucus, and...
Yeah, I thought Rich might appreciate that, but no, it wasn't so much that we were getting high for Obama. We had never been to a caucus before. We were a little bit scared of that. But anyways, I
was suggesting you were getting high just to make it tolerable being in this place. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, exactly.
So what happened?
So when we got there, it's probably about, it was like in a gymnasium of a school, like a grade school. And there's probably about, I don't know, maybe like 300 people there, 400 people, something like that.
Yeah, so you said this is Des Moines, so this is probably one of the busiest ones.
Yeah, it was very busy. It was backed up quite a bit.
Okay.
And which will probably be the same story tonight also. It'll probably... they usually go like 2 or 3 hours,
Yeah, results will start coming out about 10, 11
late
o'clock.
Tonight. Okay.
And I'm not terribly concerned about that, but that's just to let you guys know.
All right.
But when they did their first call, or however you want to say it, I don't remember seeing a quote unquote minority in the gymnasium. So when they did their first call, the majority, I would say probably like around 75%, went over and caucused for Hillary Clinton. And then when they did their second call, everybody looked around and looked at everybody else, and we had went and caucused for Obama right away, so we were there. And there was a good amount of people that caucused for Obama. And when they did their second call, all these people, it was very interesting, all these people like left Clinton and whoever else there was, I don't even remember now, and just swarmed to Obama.
Why? What do you think that was about?
It was about race. And I don't.
But why would it have gone one way on the first call and then a different way on the other? Why would that have anything to do with race? If you want to hang on to explain that, I must be missing something. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Kenny's with us here in Iowa. He's been through this caucus thing, and that's happening right now as we speak in Iowa, all across the state. 855-450-FREE. If you want to join us here, this is Free Talk Live. We'll also talk Rand Paul.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online, and I found it. It's buysellmakeoffer.com, a brand new company that's the newest and best way to sell products online. You can even use Skype or video to sell your car, home, any product. You get 30 days free, packages starting from only $7.95, and buysellmakeoffer.com never charges item fees ever. Just go sign up, then load your stuff to sell. I love this site, buysellmakeoffer.com. Got it? Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit. the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free, 855-450-FREE. Maybe you want to back Rich Paul up in his backing of Rand Paul. 855-450-3733. We'll come back into that discussion here in a few moments. Also, I want to let you know about how whatever candidate you're supporting, if you want to get some promotional materials made up for them, you can go to Vistaprint.com to use code FTL, and you'll save on 500 business cards. You can get them for $9.99. That's a starting price. You can obviously upgrade to fancy finish like spot gloss, raised print, metallic. You can even go to a thicker stock card. And, of course, Vistaprint makes it super easy. I've used their designing tool on their site. I made some Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree palm cards that I can use to pass out to people. So I'm going to be bringing those to the Liberty Forum, where I will give them to folks who, if you don't want to buy the DVD, if you've never seen the movie before, that's a great way to let people know about Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Just give them one of these little palm cards. It's full color. So if you want to do full color, that's not a problem. They can handle that. And they make it super easy to customize it. Whether you want to customize text, colors, backsides, and more, just go to Vistaprint.com, use code FTL to get your discount at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, code FTL, like Free Talk Live. And if you need more than business cards, they've got that too. Postcards, flyers, banners, apparel, invitations. Head on over there. You get a small business, this is right for you. You want to promote something? This is perfect. Vistaprint.com. Use code FTL for 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. We go back to Kenny in Iowa. Kenny, you're explaining what things were like for you. You're now more of a liberty-minded person, but a few years ago you were supporting Barack Obama over at the Iowa caucuses. You and your friends got high beforehand, headed inside, and you were kind of telling us the story about what was happening. You said in the first round, Hillary Clinton won overwhelmingly, but then in the second round, everybody seemed to go for Barack Obama, and you said it had to do with race. Can you explain that? Do we still have Kenny with us? Kenny in Iowa? Kenny going once, Kenny going twice. I don't know what happened to Kenny. Did we lose Kenny? Apparently we have lost Kenny.
That's not good.
Yeah. That's what happens to Kenny sometimes. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We'll check back with him in a little bit, see if he clears it up. So we were discussing Rand Paul here, and this is something that many libertarians disagree and disagree firmly about. Some of the things that he's said and done are not particularly libertarian, and when you bring those examples out, you get supporters like Rich here contorting themselves every which way to try to make excuses for what this guy had to say. You never had to do that with Ron Paul. You never had to make an excuse generally with what Ron Paul had to say, because he came right out.
Or how he voted.
Right, and because he came right out and he said pro-liberty things that were based in principle. Ron Paul would not evade using the term libertarian or even the term voluntarist, whereas Rand Paul explicitly said during his Senate campaign in 2010, this is from liberty.me, that he is not only, quote, not a libertarian, but that, quote, they thought all along they could call me a libertarian and hang that label around my neck like an albatross, unquote. So this guy wants nothing to do with even the term libertarian, but yet you will defend him, Rich Paul, as though he's worthy of support. Why?
Well, the first thing is, given this is a contest with a limited number of people in it. You have Bernie Sanders, you have Hillary Clinton, you have
Vermin
Rand
Supreme.
Paul, Vermin Supreme, you and the other, the 7 Republican mental dwarves, who, and you have Donald Trump. So the first question is, out of that finite set of possibilities, and I include both the Democratic and the Republican candidates, because you can only participate in one
primary at this point.
Primary.
Yeah.
So
in most states,
what
there are a
is
few
the
states.
best choice out of those people? And the answer is Rand Paul.
I'll give you that. That's all you've got. You can't say he's a libertarian. You can only imagine. You can only fantasize that he's a libertarian. You have the belief that he is putting on a statist cloak in order to, get inside the halls of power and then become a libertarian. Is that your belief?
Not a particularly statist cloak either. I mean, there are some things on foreign policy that I haven't been crazy about that he's said. To some extent, he has ways of saying things that are, you could say that he does camouflage some of the things that he says.
That's another word for lying, right? To camouflage one's political viewpoint would be to obscure the reality.
I don't know.
Right?
I mean, here's an example.
This is the kind of
here's an
contorting
example.
I'm talking about.
There's a situation where he's said there should be sanctions against Iran, against the Palestinians or Iran. And if you look at what actual sanctions he described, and he did the same thing with the Soviet Union, they are all cutting off some sort of foreign aid or loan guarantee, something that we shouldn't be doing in the first place. We all agree
cutting
that
foreign
we
aid
should
is
cut
not
off
a sanction.
Apparently it is if you're Rand Paul, and it can be, in the broader definition, a sanction, because a sanction is any action that you take against somebody.
When
to assassinate someone can be to sanction them.
Okay, so he wants to put Snowden in prison, right? Rand Paul.
Does he actually? What he said is he would like to negotiate a return. He would like to negotiate with the Snowden defense a return. He has said that would probably involve some jail time.
Yeah. Okay. So that sounds like he wants to put him in jail. And that's not saying I would pardon him.
Compare this to the rest of the field.
Okay, but
Donald
I'm going to
Trump
give you that
wants to put him to death.
I'm going to give you that one. He's not as bad as Donald Trump, okay? I will
Well,
concede
he's not
that.
as bad as any of the
I'll
other
give you that,
candidates,
too.
which makes him the best one.
But
the best one does not mean libertarian.
Right, and it doesn't mean that he deserves my support.
He didn't say he was libertarian,
No,
and
not
neither
at all.
did I.
But you are saying
But
that. Yes, you did. You said you believe he's a voluntarist.
Okay,
You believe he's a
believe
libertarian.
I believe that he actually is a voluntarist. Obviously, he is not campaigning as one. Now, personally, I think it's idiotic for libertarians to campaign on "this is my ideal world."
Oh, I totally disagree.
Because
I totally disagree.
When the Democrats campaign, they don't describe communism for you. They describe the next step toward communism.
No. See, here's
when
why
the
I disagree with you.
Republicans campaign, they don't describe fascism for you.
So we should be
they
more like
describe
them?
the next step toward
You're
fascism.
actually saying that libertarians should be more like the Republicans and Democrats in the way they do things. Look, the reason why I'm involved in the liberty movement, Rich Paul, is because of Harry Brown. I'm involved in the liberty movement because there was a political candidate who spoke the truth about the ideas of liberty and was principled in how he delivered those ideas. That's what got me interested in the ideas of liberty. Now, you could argue that, if I hadn't encountered Harry Brown, then I might have come to it anyway. But nonetheless, that's the way it worked for me. The fact that there was a political candidate out there who was willing to speak truth to power, even though that meant that there was no chance he would actually win, was what brought me and countless other people into this movement. Ron Paul's the same way. Ron Paul was bringing people into the liberty movement in a way that no one else had ever done before because he was talking about principled ideas. Rand Paul doesn't do that, so he's not going to be as successful at bringing people into the movement. And further, the people who he does bring in will not understand liberty because he's not teaching them anything about it. Hold that thought. We can come back to it. Kenny, I believe, is with us this time. Kenny, are you back with us?
We're going to try it again, yeah.
Are you in it sounds like you're on a bad connection. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you back on hold here because I want to hear more about his story about the Iowa caucuses because he was actually there. Oh, and you know what? That was my bad. I was doubling up the connection. That is not Kenny's fault. So we're going to come back to Kenny. He's going to tell us what happened after he and his buddies got high outside of the convention that ended up, or the caucus that ended up selecting Barack Obama, and give us his analysis of that. We'll come back to Rand Paul. If you want to jump in on the Rand Paul discussion as well, because there's a lot to say about him. 855-450-FREE. Is he a liar for liberty? It's Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joel Wallach, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy. There's no reason why you shouldn't live to be at least 100 and have a great time getting there. And I'm going to give you a free copy of my lecture that tells you exactly how to do it. In fact, after you've lived a long and healthy life, there should be only 2 documents in your medical chart, a birth certificate and a death certificate. I'm Dr. Wallach with a warning. If you have a 4-inch medical chart, if you take prescription drugs for high cholesterol, high blood pressure, arthritis, joint pains, and other health issues, the medical profession is failing you. They're using you for an ATM machine. My free lecture is going to reveal what pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know. There's been groundbreaking research and discoveries on how to effectively treat or eliminate over 900 different diseases naturally, and it's all in my free lecture called Deadly Recipe. So call toll-free 1-855-79-YOUNG. Again, that's toll-free 1-855-79-YOUNG. 1-855-79-YOUNG.
The Free State Project is an agreement among 20,000 participants to move to New Hampshire for liberty in our lifetime. Now almost 95% to our goal, we are creating private solutions to public problems and creating a society that runs on voluntary interactions instead of coercion. We invite you to participate in our cause and be part of our upcoming conference, Liberty Forum 16. Liberty Forum is a premier liberty-oriented conference based in Manchester, New Hampshire, that attracts free thinkers from all over the world. Over the past 9 years, this 3-day conference has grown to attract distinguished speakers and organizations to discuss how to build a better society through free market solutions. This year, our headliner is Edward Snowden, live from Russia. To learn more about attending, exhibiting, and sponsoring this event, please go to nhlibertyforum.com. That's nhlibertyforum.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, dial toll free here. And join us to bring up whatever happens to be on your mind. It's been a politically tinged show tonight, discussing the details on how the Iowa caucuses actually work. With you in the studio, you've got Ian,
Rich Paul,
and Darryl.
And don't forget, you can join us online any old time you want to at freetalklive.com. Plus, you can join us in real life coming up here in less than 3 weeks at the Liberty Forum, February 18th through the 21st. That is coming up fast. It's happening in Manchester at the Radisson Hotel. Same place as last year. Great venue for an event. It can hold hundreds of people. It's the largest convention space in all of New Hampshire. And it's going to have Edward Snowden. Now, the man himself will not be in physical reality with us, but his digital visage will be, as he'll be transmitting from Moscow. His keynote speech is actually going to be earlier in the day on Saturday. Normally, keynote speeches happen after 7 o'clock. There's like a dinner event or whatever. Snowden, due to the time difference, is going to be on at 4 o'clock, which is great for me because it means we actually get to go and watch. Normally on Free Talk Live, we miss every keynote speech because we're live from the Liberty Forum, but we'll actually get to see Ed Snowden speaking. So if you want to see that happen in reality, come join us at the Liberty Forum. But the most important reason to come to the Liberty Forum is to find out what it's like to have hundreds of people who care about liberty in your immediate vicinity. Because we have that in New Hampshire with over 1,600 people who've moved here now as part of the Free State Project. There are countless libertarians. There are more voluntarists and libertarian-minded folks here in New Hampshire than you could possibly know. In fact, more than you would want to know, because some of them don't even get along with one another. There's so many of them. And that's what happens when you get thousands of people together. Not everybody gets along. But what does happen when you get thousands of liberty-minded folks together is they all kind of break off and do their own thing. They focus on the issues that they think are most important. Darryl, he loves election reform work. Rich, you're working on repealing the cannabis prohibition. And there's a lot of people coming at the system and outside of the system from different vantage points, so different points of attack. Different issues are important to them. So when we gather thousands more, which is what the Free State Project aims to do when it reaches 20,000 signatures on its statement of intent that says that you will move, if you love liberty, to New Hampshire and get active as we have done, then we'll start to see some amazing changes happen. We've already seen amazing success stories here in New Hampshire with just the first less than 10% having made the move. what happens when that number's at 30%, 40%. Maybe we'll hit 50% of the 20,000. I don't know. I think eventually we're going to get more than 20,000 people here because the ideas of liberty are such a pull, and when you actually have success with those concepts, that I think is going to draw a lot of people here. In fact, the Free State Project is almost complete. It's almost to its 20,000 number. We looked at the statistics earlier today. Less than 75 signatures remain.
We are the 99%.
We are at this point. But
that joke wasn't funny the first time I heard it either.
It's going to be 100% before you know it, because it's actually more like 99.5 something percent at this point. I mean, it's almost done. So if you've been waiting, if you've been holding off, if you've decided you wanted to be close to the very last person to sign, it might be over right now as we're even speaking, because they're only updating the stats once a day. So if they've had, another 70-something signers in the last 6 hours or 8 hours or however long it's been since they've updated, then it's technically over right now. So it leads me to some questions.
Will the form shut down when it reaches 20,000 automatically?
I don't think it's that well programmed. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that there's somebody who's processing these applications, or they're processing the signers, and how many times per day they're doing that, I don't know. So I suspect that when this is complete, you'll probably see more than 20,000 signatures on there. That's my guess. But this is one of the reasons why I want to have Carla Garrick on, who's the president of the Free State Project, to kind of talk about what's the next step for the Free State Project, because we know that once it's complete, once the 20,000 signers are reached, then there's a 5-year window of time in which that those 20,000 have to make the move to New Hampshire. What we don't know is, will the Free State Project continue to exist for those 5 years? Will they, shut down the organization? Will they continue to collect signers? Will the Free State Project continue to run the Liberty Forum and the Porcupine Freedom Festival? These are some of the questions I have that I'd like to get some answers to, and I know that there are others who are curious as to what's the next step for the FSP. So hopefully, at the very least, we'll certainly be talking to Carla at the Liberty Forum, but I'm hoping to get her on sometime this week to have that discussion. By the way, Kenny did unfortunately drop off the line again, so you could say he's died now twice unexpectedly during the show, and that's too bad, because I really did want to hear the story.
Really odd. Kenny generally only dies once during the show.
I know, that's why I'm saying it's very strange.
Maybe once per segment for this show. I don't know.
That's about what it's been. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. You can join us here also on Skype. Let's go to Andy. He's in Texas, and we'll get back into Rand Paul here in a moment. Andy, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Rich, and Darryl.
First and foremost, I think it doesn't matter who we get as a president. I mean, if you get an establishment president, he'll be able to do a ton of things, but of course it won't be in the favor of the people. You get a non-establishment candidate, which we're presuming Trump might be, or even Rand Paul might be. Their hands will be tied. If not tied by the puppets who run them, it'll end up being tied by the Congress. And right now, Obama has a free hand to do whatever he wants, and Congress is a do-nothing Congress, because he's doing exactly what the puppet masters paid Congress off to let him do. Now, you get an unestablishment candidate in there. Let's just say Trump is a non-establishment candidate. You get him in there, and if he is not pulling the weight that the puppet masters want, well, then they'll get Congress to shut him down. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter who we get. They're gonna cripple a good guy, and they're going to bring everything forward that they want to bring if they get their establishment guy. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, I think all this discussion is about nothing.
There's a lot of things that a president can do on his own authority. For example, a president could, on the day he took office, pardon Snowden. He could pardon...
Rand hasn't said he would do that.
No, he hasn't. And
Has Rand said he'd pardon anyone?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, that's pretty weak. And, Harry Brown said he would pardon every nonviolent drug offender in federal prison.
Yeah, did he win?
No, and Rand Paul ain't going to win either. So only one of those two candidates are actually talking about the ideas of liberty in a way that could persuade people towards them. Anyway, go ahead, Andy.
Well, let's talk about Snowden. I mean, this is an atrocity in itself. He's a whistleblower, and they chased his butt out of the country. I mean, come on. He did some justice for us by letting us know something that we really, those of us who've been in touch, we really already knew, but he made it public to the people, and they finally got to know it, and now this guy is a wanted person by the State Department and so on. This is absolutely ridiculous, this country that we live in. It's gone to H-E double toothpicks in a handbasket, And nobody is. We really should be storming the White House right now.
Well, that isn't going to get you anywhere. They've got mounted guns and men.
I
with
understand
bombs
that, but I mean, what I'm saying is that we should be doing much more than we are.
I agree with you. The political system isn't going to change Washington, D.C. I totally agree with you. There's a lot of money and time and effort being spent on these candidates, and for what? I mean, Rich, and thanks for the call, Andy. I appreciate it. I agree with Andy here. All this effort and time being spent on Rand Paul, you're expending effort and money on this candidate, and he's not even communicating the ideas of liberty. What is the value here?
To me, a big part of the value is simply that the more people, as you move a couple of points down the Nolan chart, you find that you've got a lot more people who are willing to get on board with you. Okay, that's
Hold on, but
the
before
Nolan
you
chart.
continue, you used a term that a lot of people listening probably are not familiar with. What's the Nolan chart for people that don't know?
Well, let me put it a different way, because there are if you lose a couple of the more extreme consistent libertarian positions, you can get a lot more people to stand with you. Now, why is that not?
There's no evidence of it. Nobody's standing with Rand. I mean, compared to Ron.
Well, the unfortunate thing is a lot of the a lot of Ron Paul's supporters either, I think, got sucked off by Bernie Sanders, because they were just people who thought that there needed to be a big change, and they weren't real clear on what the change needed to be.
You think there are a lot of Ron Paul people who've gone for Bernie this time around? Why? Just because they want?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I think.
What are they? College kids who just want to get high and they think Bernie's their best bet?
I think if somebody's primary thing is the marijuana, yes. If somebody's primary thing is the appearance of being an anti-establishment
Bernie was also one of the main.
Yes. Also, if you have a thing about voting for really old dudes, then
Bernie was also one of the main co-sponsors of the End the Fed legislation.
Yeah, he really was. Although he burned Ron Paul on that. It wasn't. He gutted it.
Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you're excited about Rand Paul, I'd love to hear why, because he just doesn't do it for me and a lot of other libertarians, and that's why he doesn't have hardly any support. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. Following sharp increases yesterday, in early trading on Wednesday, gold is $2 lower at $1,118 per ounce. Silver is down 3 cents at $14.54 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $395 US. We have plenty of new 2016 Silver American Eagles in stock. Get yours online at rrbi.co or give us a call at 800-874-9760.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but we'll hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, February 1st, 2016. Silver is trading at $14.27 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,122 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $378. Antiwar.com reports throughout the first 9 months of the Saudi war in Yemen, Saudi officials have faced repeated criticism from human rights groups over the disproportionate number of civilians being killed in their airstrikes. Up until now, the Saudis denied the killings. On Sunday, however, Saudi coalition officials are promising changes to their airstrike targeting, expressing great regret for the civilian toll, and say that U.S. and British military experts will be advising them on how to get the civilian toll down. Of course, the U.S. has been involved in the Saudi war from the start and has repeatedly been reported to be involved in targeting advice throughout. It is unclear then what exactly will be changing except for the promise to reduce the number of civilians killed. The move was likely prompted by last week's UN report leaked to media outlets, which warned the Saudis were systematically targeting civilians and deliberately starving the Yemeni population with their naval blockade, warning it could amount to crimes against humanity. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports retired General David Petraeus will not be demoted in rank after pleading guilty to charges of mishandling classified material. Stephen C. Hedger, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Legislative Affairs, wrote Friday in a brief letter to the Senate Armed Services Committee that Defense Secretary Ash Carter agreed with a previous Army recommendation to seek no further legal action against the former CIA director and retired U.S. Army general and considers the matter closed. In April 2015, Petraeus pled guilty in a North Carolina federal court to a misdemeanor charge that he mishandled classified information by providing 8 black books to Paula Broadwell, his biographer and mistress. The books reportedly contained code names and operational plans and other sensitive materials collected during his time commanding U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan in 2010 and 2011. Petraeus signed a statement admitting that he lied to FBI agents and that he had committed the wrongdoing while still part of the Army but retiring and assuming leadership of the CIA in 2011. Petraeus was sentenced by the Justice Department to 2 years of probation and a fine of $100,000, and the Department of Justice shared their findings with the Army, which after a review recommended Petraeus face no further punishment and keep his 4-star rank, enabling him to collect his more than $200,000 per year pension. A letter to Carter from Senators John McCain and Jack Reed recommended Petraeus not be demoted. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports the E. coli outbreak that affected dozens of Chipotle Mexican Grill customers in 9 states last year is expected to be declared over as soon as Monday, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the government's investigation. Investigators have not been able to pinpoint the ingredients responsible for the contamination. Chipotle has been grappling with a multi-state E. coli outbreak that hit the burrito chain sales and stock price. The first outbreak surfaced last October. Later, it spread to more states, and the last case of illness linked to Chipotle was reported over 2 months ago. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, most people infected with E. coli develop symptoms 3 to 4 days after contact with the germ. E. coli infections are spread by oral contact with fecal matter and can cause serious symptoms and even be life-threatening. Chipotle executives have been reassuring customers and investors that steps are being taken to tighten food safety at the popular burrito chain and that they would prevent further food poisoning outbreaks. Chipotle is expected to woo back customers with stepped-up advertising and direct outreach to its most loyal customers. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. An area man doesn't know what to do with all the extra ketchup packets. This is Doyle Redland reporting. After finishing his Big Bacon Classic combo, Erie, Pennsylvania resident and Wendy's patron Don Turnby, 38, expressed uncertainty today regarding what to do with all the extra ketchup packets. Turnby had asked for extra ketchup upon placing his order for a ketchup-necessitating Biggie fries.
Well, I knew it was too many ketchups because I usually only need 3 or 4 for my Biggie fries, but I just took them anyway.
At his nearby home, the Turnby pantry is crammed with hundreds of other restaurant condiments, including single-serving packets of Taco Bell mild sauce, Arby's horsey sauce, soy sauce, McDonald's Chicken McNuggets hot mustard sauce, pats of shed spread country crock from Ponderosa Steakhouse, and a selection of Smucker's jellies and jams from several area diners. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us toll free. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. More than an hour into the Iowa caucuses. And, of course, a lot of people are wondering who will become the victor, at least from this particular set of circumstances.
Ted Cruz has taken the early lead with 12% reporting, 29.8% for Cruz, 27.8% for Trump.
That's a close one.
Rand Paul is currently in 5th at 4.3%.
All right, so if you want to comment, you're welcome to join us here. It doesn't have to be on the caucuses. I tend to agree with one of our callers in the last hour that ultimately whoever wins, we will lose because we don't really have a truly principled candidate in there. Rich Paul's pointing out that Rand Paul is the least offensive of the candidates, and further, Rich believes that Rand is secretly a libertarian, although when asked, he disavows any association with the terminology. So it's an interesting theory, but I don't know if it holds any water.
Well, check out Judge Napolitano on Anarcast with Berwick? Yeah. Napolitano knows Rand a lot better than I know Rand. Ron Paul knows Rand a lot better than I know Rand. And, I guess a lot of the reason that I support Rand is simply I trust Ron Paul. And if this is Ron Paul's play, and it certainly is. I mean, this is where Campaign for Liberty is going. This is where Students for Liberty is going, is Rand Paul this year. So I don't...
There were some horrible congressional candidates that Ron has endorsed in the past because he made a pledge to endorse all Republicans.
Yeah, didn't they threaten him or something like that, and he had to, pledge?
Well, he's not running for office anymore, so there's nothing left to threaten him with.
Right, but no, back in 2010 and 2012, there were, mild threats.
You can find an imperfection in anybody if you have a good enough microscope.
Right,
and I found a few.
My point was, you said that you trust what you trust enough to support who Ron Paul is supporting and endorsing, and I was just pointing out that in both 2010 and 2012, Ron endorsed some really horrible Republican congressional candidates.
And Rich is saying, well, now he doesn't have to do that because he's no longer running for office. So that could very well be true. But nonetheless, supporting Rand Paul means supporting someone who's not principally advocating the ideas of liberty. He's not explaining the concepts behind liberty. He's just taking political positions that he believes will be popular.
You say that, but you consciously avoid hearing what he says.
No, I've watched some of his performance in the debate. I've seen him in at least one of the debates.
Did you see
but I'm
him
not going to watch
yesterday?
all of the debates. No, I did not.
Oh, okay. See, I did.
Okay, whoopee-doo.
Okay.
So you've seen him say more things. He's a politician. Politicians tell lies when their mouths are moving. And you're actually saying you believe he's a liar, that you believe he's a libertarian who is saying he's not a libertarian in order to get votes.
I don't believe he's running as a libertarian. I believe he's running as a constitutionalist.
And he's
just as Ron Paul ran as a constitutionalist. Ron Paul, if you asked him his political alignment, would say he was a true conservative. Well, apparently what means true conservative to him means libertarian to the rest of us.
Well, he would also use the word libertarian to describe himself, and even use the word voluntarist. But you're saying Rand Paul is those things. That you believe that because Ron Paul supports Rand Paul, that because Judge Napolitano supports Rand Paul.
No, not just because Napolitano supports Rand Paul, but because Napolitano says that Ron Paul is a voluntarist, that Napolitano is a voluntarist, and that Rand Paul is a voluntarist.
Right, so you believe in the endorsement of these other people who are more principled, purportedly, because they support Rand Paul, means that Rand Paul is actually a voluntarist and a libertarian, but he would refuse to describe himself in that way, and in point of fact, when asked if he is a libertarian, distanced himself from the term. So he's a liar. And you're saying that you support a liar, isn't that correct?
If you want to regard that as a lie, then yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. You know, just like you know, Ron Paul did not run on "I'm a voluntarist" and I think there should be no government.
He didn't say that.
And I hate roads.
And I could needle Ron Paul if I needed to.
Neither is Rand Paul, and I don't think Ron Paul should have done that, and I don't think Rand Paul should do that.
Okay, well, so the reality, though, was Ron Paul ran a principled campaign, and he had excited people backing him who did amazing things that had never been done in the history of, like, grassroots Republican politics. You remember the Ron Paul blimp, for instance, all funded and organized by his fans and supporters. Most of the advertising and the outreach that was done on a decentralized basis by his supporters because they were super excited about Ron getting the ideas of liberty out.
Right.
Rand Paul doesn't have any of that.
Exactly, because the people doing that have been too stupid to figure out what Rand Paul is doing. What Rand Paul is trying to do is now widen that tent large enough to fit enough people
they tried that with Bob Barr.
Actually make a difference.
The Libertarian Party tried that with Bob Barr.
There's going to be all kinds of shucking and jiving and political strategizing.
It didn't help the Libertarian Party when they did it with Bob Barr, and it's not helping Rand Paul when he's supposedly watering down his message.
I mean, if you want to know who's to blame for Bob Barr, Ron Paul is to blame for Bob Barr, simply because all of the principled libertarians were paying attention to the Ron Paul campaign, and none of the principled libertarians were thinking about, gee, what's going on at our convention?
No, I totally
this
disagree.
year.
The Libertarian Party has been. I was involved in the Libertarian Party for many years, and it has been infiltrated by these anti-liberty people. That's the reason why.
So, in
Bob
other
Barr
words, anything large enough to actually have any voice or do anything is too corrupt for your tastes.
Bob Barr is definitely corrupt, and I don't want anything to do with someone like Bob Barr.
I like Gary Johnson a lot better. I voted for
Gary
Bob
Johnson
Barr.
is a slight improvement. Let's go to Yuri. He's on the line from New Hampshire via Skype. Yuri, go ahead.
Hello, I have a question to Darryl about genocide.
Yes, sir.
Like, we don't want politicians to take some sides in conflicts, but I feel it's what's going on. Darryl said he would be a good president, but he says that there was genocide in Palestine committed by Israel, and I want his comments on it. What is genocide? How he...
Okay, so the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of genocide: the deliberate killing of people who belong to a particular racial, political, or cultural group. And we know for a fact that the Israeli military is killing people that live in the Palestinian territories, specifically people that live in the Gaza Strip. And would you agree that people living in Gaza fit either the racial, political, or cultural group definition or portion of the definition here?
No, I wouldn't agree with it.
You would not say that the Palestinians are either a racial, political, or cultural group?
There is obviously shooting in both sides, and there is rockets launched into Israel. And furthermore, we can see many Arabs living in Israel, and for Jewish people to live in Palestine, it would be much harder.
Actually, I partially agree with that last point, because every time the Jewish people move into a portion of the area currently recognized as Palestinian, they then annex it into Israel, so it's no longer considered Palestinian territory. So yes, it would be a lot more difficult for Jewish people to live in Palestinian territory, because every time they move there, it gets reclaimed as Israeli territory. And yes, I do agree that there are, mortar rockets that are being fired from Gaza into Israel, but those mortar shells are a lot less accurate than the smart missiles that are being used by the Israeli military. And both sides are to blame, but most American politicians will never say that Israel is doing anything wrong.
Yuri, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate the question. For Darryl's website, darrylwperry.com, for his presidential campaign for the Libertarian Party nomination. 855-450-FREE, which is not being decided in Iowa tonight, by the way.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Are you sneezing, coughing, and aching? Do you have a sore throat, a fever, or the sniffles? There's no reason to be sick this cold and flu season with immune system support from Supernatural Silver. Supernatural Silver can give your body the help it needs to fight off harmful pathogens without hurting beneficial gut flora and without leaving behind resistant bacteria. Antibiotics can damage good microflora and often leave behind bacteria which can cause problems later on. If you're sick of being sick, try Supernatural Silver. Supernatural Silver, the #1 choice of thousands for a safe and effective way to protect against the many diseases and illnesses that we are facing today. Go to supernaturalsilver.com, read our customer reviews, and see the life-changing results that people are having. That's supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. Use the promo code PROTECTED for 20% off your entire order. And like us on Facebook. Supernatural Silver.
Everyone in Pennington is talking about it. Something smells like weed in that back part of the library. Head librarian Cookie Stevens and library volunteers Margaret Mosier and Gail Fredericks were in the middle of discussing the upcoming used book saleganza when they smelled something strange.
So Doug smelled marijuana somewhere, and we're like shocked. Yeah. And so Doug goes, "Do you smell it?"
Without any way to confirm that the smell was indeed weed, Cookie Stevens called her husband Sheriff Stevens, who called in local ceramics teacher Dutch Gibbs, who lived in Seattle for a few months in the 70s.
Yeah, that's weed.
Sheriff Stevens has begun compiling a list of potential suspects, including that boy Lance, who has girl hair and hangs out down by the quarry, Greg Fromke, who was spotted this evening really going to town on some potato skins at Steaky Jake's Steakhouse, and Mr. Thompson. Luckily, one young reading enthusiast seemed unperturbed by the illicit smell.
Yeah, I don't smell anything. I really love the library.
The weed smell comes on the heels of last month's discovery of a gigantic pair of women's underpants in the children's fiction section. According to Stevens, that case remains open as well.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Are you an experienced Uber or Lyft driver with excellent ratings? If so, then you're ready to upgrade to Arcade City. Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers for drivers. It's more decentralized than Uber and Lyft. With Arcade City, you keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Burns, we have new.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us here toll free 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. How would you like to save big time on your purchases from Amazon? 20, 30, 40, 50% off. It's all possible through saveitpurse.com. I just recently acquired a few USB charging cables, and I managed to get 50% off accepted through saveitpurse.com. The idea is you have to have Bitcoin in order to make this possible, and this is a good reason to get Bitcoin. Now, Purse does take a fee of the savings, so you don't get the full-on 50% off, but after all is said and done, 50% turns into like 35%, and it's still pretty awesome. So you can go to saveitpurse.com, and you can save big time on pretty much whatever it is you need to buy through Amazon. Almost everything that I've tried to buy has worked through saveitpurse.com. So get started over there. It's a very simple process. They'll take you right through it and show you how it works, and it's a great excuse to go and get some Bitcoin. If you've been thinking about getting Bitcoin, you've been hearing about Bitcoin, this amazing decentralized currency, this is a good reason and a great excuse to go and do it. So once again, saveitpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com. It's Ian, Rich, and Darryl in the studio tonight. We've been discussing Rand Paul, which is something that has been a bit of a controversial subject between libertarians. Rich, a moment ago you said that you suggested that people who were not supporting people who are not supporting Rand, who are libertarian, are stupid, and that they can't figure out what's really going on. And I have to disagree with that. I mean, I may not be the brightest bulb in the basket out there, but I don't think I'm a mouth-dragging or knuckle-dragging mouth breather. And I think that if what you're saying is that what we can't figure out is that Rand Paul is telling lies in order to get elected and to get political power, then okay, I've got that figured out if that's what's actually happening. Of course, we don't know whether he's telling lies or not, but if that's the plan, okay, fine, I see where you're coming from. But your goal appears to be to get someone elected. My goal with supporting No,
that's absolutely where you're wrong.
Okay.
My goal is to have the biggest possible microphones making as much noise as possible to start moving people in the direction of liberty.
But who made more noise, Ron or Rand?
Well, Ron isn't Rand, and Rand isn't Ron.
But who made more noise? Who got more media coverage?
Ron Paul has so far. Partially because people don't understand that even being a Ron Paul Republican, that's a step that people go to on the way to being a libertarian. It doesn't, and so I'm not thinking about the movement of candidates. I'm thinking about the political movement of individual human beings. And what normally happens is that people get first attracted to a message like a Ron Paul or a Rand Paul, a somewhat
but those messages aren't the same.
They're not identical, but they're both dilute.
They're not even close. I mean, Rand isn't not even a shadow of his father as far as the message he's getting out there.
I know you didn't like the wording on the drone comment.
That was just the thing I could come up with. That's all I could come up with off the top of my head. But you've admitted that he's not a meaningless
issue.
But you have admitted that was the only thing I could think of off the top of my head because I don't study this guy.
Okay, well, let's find something meaningful.
No. What's meaningful to me is that you've admitted that Rand Paul is not a libertarian, right? You've admitted that he's not saying libertarian things, that he's watering down the liberty message to pander to this big tent idea that you were talking about
any
before.
Libertarian who's running as a constitutionalist is doing that, so that would be Ron Ron Paul, too, I would say.
No, Ron Paul, even though, if he called himself a constitutionalist, that's fine, but he was using the term libertarian. He wasn't shying away from it. He wasn't backing away from it.
If you look back, he did shy away from the term libertarian. And the reason, I think, is because although I do believe that he was a libertarian, I don't believe that the message he was putting out was perfect libertarianism.
It was as
and
darn
I don't
close
believe
as you
he
would get.
wanted it mistaken for true libertarianism.
It was as darn close to principled message as any politician in the last decade has put out there.
It was very close, and it was.
And
close
Rand Paul isn't even 30% of that. I mean, I'm sorry. He's not exciting libertarians, and this is what you're trading off, Rich. You're trading for this idea of the big tent. This is what people want.
No, if Ron Paul was running against Rand Paul, I would be supporting Ron.
I'm sure you would.
Don't get me wrong. Ron's really, really old. He can't run anymore.
I'm not asking him to.
He's not there.
So I'm not saying he should be.
Who do you think we should be supporting in the primary? Because
I would support
just
anyone who's
blowing off primary season really isn't an issue. Primary season,
dude, I'm only going to support someone who's principled. I'm only going to support. My time and my money's limited, and I'm only going to put it behind someone who's effectively communicating the ideas of liberty. Rand Paul doesn't even come close to that, and that's why he doesn't have jack compared to his father's money and compared to his father's individual supporters. He's got
Super
nothing.
PAC just took in $4.5 million.
Whatever.
That's
Is it
pretty
being used
good
to promote the
number.
ideas of liberty? No, no, it's not. No, he's not promoting the ideas of liberty, so I'm not going to support him in any way,
He's
shape,
not
or form.
promoting
The most I'm going to give
all
him
of the ideas of liberty. He's promoting liberty in just about every area. So the question is, why does someone need to argue? Why can't you say this is the next step we should take without imagining that you can jump from here to perfect liberty instantaneously without passing through the intervening space?
No one has said that.
This is what physicists call crazy talk.
No, Rich. No one has said that you don't go from that you have to go from point A to point Z. No one has said that here.
Yeah.
The whole idea behind being, in my opinion, being a liberty-minded candidate is to spread the ideas of liberty first and foremost. Because if we don't have a paradigm shift in the mindsets of people, we're never going to get there. You're not going to sneak liberty in the back door. You need to have people understand the ideas.
What Rand Paul says, it is absolutely excellent from a liberty point of view. There are a few places where I disagree with him. There are a few places where I disagree with Ron Paul. Ron Paul is pro-life. I'm pro-choice. That's a big difference. But yeah, like Rand Paul, Ron Paul says, well, if abortion is murder, then murder is a state matter, and we're not going to deal with it at the federal level. So I get past that.
Sure.
But yeah, there will never be a candidate identical to me, because any candidate who is identical to me won't even get near the stage. He will be shot if he approaches one of those microphones. So there have to be people who are almost there, who are close enough to get some of the message out, but also close enough, but also on the edge enough that they can actually be permitted to get onto the stage and permit and access a microphone.
What would be considered close enough? 70%, 60, 85,
I would say,
90. Like where would you draw the line?
Well, I don't know. My level of agreement with Rand Paul is 91%, according to one of those silly little internet. What's
the website for that?
Quizzes.
Do you know? isidewith.com.
isidewith.com. We'll continue. You can join us on Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Removing bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline, gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or call 800-544-3533.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 90% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
You've got Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Our Skype username for you is LRN.FM. So feel free to connect with us that way if you like. In fact, you'll usually sound better on Skype. So please do that. Also, you can join us online at freetalklive.com and enjoy the features there. They're completely free. You get to control the content right there on the front page of the website. It is a Reddit-based system, and that means you can submit, let's say, a news story that you think's interesting. Maybe you like Rand Paul. You want to submit a Rand Paul news story. But maybe some of our other listeners don't like Rand Paul. Well, they can come in there and they can vote it down. But the Rand Paul supporters can vote it up. And so it's sort of this constant competition between what people like. They're on the front page of our website at freetalklive.com. It's totally free to get interactive, free to download the show, free to watch us online. It's all free at freetalklive.com.
It's like two wolves and a sheep voting on what to talk about on the radio.
Except it's not a guarantee that it'll go through. It's just suggestions for us to talk about things. If you absolutely want to be heard, then you've got to call in at 855-450-FREE. And that's actually, we're going to go to Skype first here. We got Dancing with Poi on the line. I don't know where you're calling from, but you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. How's it going? This is Art Underground in the chat room.
Hey, go ahead.
You're talking about Rand Paul. You know, I'm the kind of guy that I don't fall for anybody's poppycock, and I was calling out Ron Paul for his poppycock when he was running, and well, I got to call out Rand Paul for his poppycock too. Now, first of all, let's be honest. Rand Paul is definitely not his father's son, but
he kind of looks like him.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that Carol was faithful, so I would.
Yeah, I'm not going to call the genetics
I'm not
into
even going to
here.
go there, bro.
That's not what I mean. You know,
I
they're
get you.
just saying, like, when people look at me and they look at my personality and my character, they say he's definitely his father's son because I'm just like my dad.
You're saying the apple has fallen far from the proverbial tree.
Very far from the tree, yes.
Yeah.
But you see, there's a couple problems with Rand Paul. First of all, if we go back to when he was first running for office, when he was first running for the Senate in Kentucky, he ran on a platform against earmarks and such as that. What was the first thing he did when he got into the Senate? He went after the earmarks that he could get using the excuse, well, it's part of my job to do this. Well, wait a minute. Didn't Obama run against lobbyists? And what did he do? Don't criticize somebody for something you yourself do. The second problem I got with Rand Paul is he buys into the official poppycock of the war on terror and all of this other garbage. But there's one real number one reason why I will never trust anyone like Rand Paul, and that is because when I look at the stranglehold that Israel has on this country through the banking system, and Rand Paul wants to sit there and scream the praises of Israel and how we need to support our greatest ally, who actually is the biggest terrorist nation on the face of this planet. How can you trust him?
Rich Paul, how can you trust him? Because you're the only man in the room who does.
Okay. Well, first off, I trust him because Ron Paul trusts him, and I trust Ron Paul. So to that extent, it's a transitive thing. Now, obviously, Ron Paul wasn't pure enough for you either, so you don't. That's not an argument for you. The other thing is, I don't expect that Rand Paul will ever be president of the United States, or if he is, it will be a couple decades from now. What I expect him to do is get up on the Republican stage and debate, and I expect him to run a campaign, and I expect him, as best he can, to get people excited about the ideas of liberty. And
but he's not talking about that.
There are people. Well, you don't listen to what he says, so you don't know what he's saying.
I have listened to what he has said. I just don't listen to every word that comes out of his mouth because I'm not obsessed with the man.
Okay. Well,
so please stop accusing me of not having listened to Rand Paul. I have seen him speak on a number of occasions. I've met him in person.
Okay. Well, that's more than I have done. But
that doesn't mean I believe what he says.
I do hear him speaking a lot about liberty. 99% of what he says.
What do you have to say, though, to the caller who says
fine.
that he supports foreign aid to Israel?
I believe that for the moment he hasn't said we should cut the foreign aid to Israel. That's not
a libertarian position.
Nope. No.
At least Ron Paul was willing to get up there and say all foreign aid, including foreign aid to Israel, should be cut.
Exactly.
At least Ron Paul was willing to say that.
A true
and I
libertarian
supported Ron
stance.
Paul on that.
Right.
But I had issues with Ron Paul, but at least I did support Ron Paul to a degree. Rand Paul, I simply cannot support Rand Paul because he sings the praises of Israel, and Israel is the biggest terrorist nation on the face of this planet.
Well, the U.S. is pretty terroristic in the way it handles the world.
Only because Israel owns the U.S.
Thank you for the call tonight, Dancing with Poi. Appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I gave money to Ron Paul's campaigns, both times, on 2008, 2012, because I saw him as spreading the ideas of liberty. You're saying, Rich, that you believe Rand Paul is spreading the ideas of liberty. But most libertarians that I've talked to don't agree. And so he's done a very poor job of convincing actual libertarians to support him. So he has next to zero support compared to what Ron Paul had back in 2012 and 2008 by libertarians. There may be some, run-of-the-mill Republicans who like what Rand says more than, what the other candidates say. But as far as like an actual deep activist level support, he doesn't have it. And that's what he's traded.
And that, to me, tearing down Rand Paul is like chopping out the bridge behind you.
I would have talked about him today.
We've crossed the bridge to libertarianism. Now let's destroy the bridge for not being close enough to the truth. So but you prevent anybody from following you after. The bottom line is, I want to work with Rand Paul, and I want to most of all get to know Rand Paul's supporters, people who are not yet anarchists, who are not yet libertarians.
That's worth doing.
Well, how do you do that? Do you do it by showing up at Rand Paul events and saying Rand Paul sucks?
I wouldn't do that.
Or do you do it by showing up at Rand Paul events and saying, hey, Rand Paul rocks?
I think that's
now,
a fine
of course,
thing to
I
do,
disagree
Rich.
with him here. I'd rather see him be more pure here. But the point is to move people along to the next step.
That I agree with you on.
And the next step is not even anarchy. The next step is the Libertarian Party.
If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I fully support that. I think this is the same reason I went to Occupy. It's the same reason I went to the Tea Party, to connect with people and kind of find out what they were interested in, and help them understand the ideas of liberty over time. A slow process.
Yeah.
But as far as my
Rand
money and my
Paul's
time is concerned, I'm not going to give him
being-
money. I'm not going to give him my money when I could spend that better in New Hampshire spreading the ideas of liberty here.
Well, I don't necessarily give him money either because I haven't any. But
Would you if you did?
But I do give him support. Yeah, I would give him money if I had it, because he's bringing people in from the other end. That's the point. He's the guy who's trying to sell constitutionalism to neocons. The next step, once you've done that, is you try to sell libertarianism to constitutionalists. And the next step after that is you sell anarchy to the libertarians. But very few people cross that gulf in one step.
Sure.
And so I think that we should keep all of those bridges as strong as we can behind us, so that people have those. Think of them as stations on an intellectual underground railroad. Rand is the gateway drug to libertarianism. He isn't libertarianism.
How many Rand Paul events have you gone to where you've done what you're talking about? Connecting with these people.
I actually have done most of my connecting with them online.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Is that as effective? I would say probably not, but it couldn't hurt. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Moments remain, and enough time for you. If you get on the lines right now at 855-450-FREE, that's 855-450-3733. By the way, I did say we'd have an update on the Malheur Federal Wildlife Refuge, and just to get something out there quickly, there is a new video that is not of the shooting, not of Lavoy Finicum's shooting, but in moments afterwards, somebody apparently pulled up onto the scene who was not a police officer and did capture some of the further arrests. So nothing shining extra light on the actual shooting, but also there's still no communication whatsoever coming out of the refuge, where now for more than 48 hours there have been no updates to the channel Defend Your Base on YouTube, which suggests that either something has transpired and we haven't been told about, or they have just simply cut off communications. The guy at the scene had been shooting video live throughout the day and throughout the night up until he all of a sudden stopped 2 days ago. So for whatever reason, there's no way for anyone to get in touch with these people. The news media has tried to contact all four of their cell phones. There were 4 people there as of 2 days ago occupying the Malheur Federal Wildlife Refuge in protest. They were still there, and their phones had been working, but as of yesterday, it had become impossible to get through. So their phones were either going straight to voicemail or they were returning a busy signal. So right now there's a big question mark over what is actually going on there at the wildlife refuge. It sounds like, I think you can probably jump to a conclusion, that the federal government has turned off their cell phone access to cut them off from the outside world and stop them from being able to give updates to people on their status. So as we learn more about that, we'll certainly continue to let you know as we go to your calls and thoughts. By the way, Rich Paul joining Ian and Darryl in the studio. Rich, the lone wolf arguing for Rand Paul here tonight. I got to hand it to you. You know, you're pretty good at it. You haven't persuaded me to support Rand Paul, but at the same time, I've not been on the attack against Rand. You brought him up tonight, so I was going to not talk at all about Rand Paul tonight. So you did get, you got what you were asking for, which was a discussion about Rand Paul. And it's been an honest discussion about Rand Paul, whereas, there are some serious disagreements between libertarians about this guy and what does he really believe, and is he doing a good thing for liberty, or is he actually damaging the ideas of liberty by not being principled in how he communicates them. But let's go to Drew, who is online in Iowa. The caucusing is happening as we speak. Drew, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I just got back from the caucus. I just wanted to say it was a big waste of time.
Really? Which caucus?
I went to the Republican caucus.
Okay.
It was
Where?
in one of the suburbs around Des Moines.
How many people were at this thing?
Well, there was 3 precincts in the middle school that I was at, and in just my precinct, they were all split up into different areas. My precinct, I would estimate at least 600 or 700. It was pretty full, and the leader dude, whatever, that was kind of running it, he said that he was about double of the last nomination or the last cycle. So. And that's kind of what I've been seeing from looking at some quick reporting, that there's been a lot of precincts having to move outside into the parking lots because there are so many more people show up. Yep.
Who did you caucus with?
I just kind of went there just to kind of see what was up, just to see. I thought it might be interesting, but it turned out to be pretty much just a bunch of people standing up to speak for the certain candidate, and they all just kind of sounded the same.
So you didn't even vote?
Well, I did vote. I voted for Rand Paul.
Okay.
Thank you for your service.
Who now has, according to Politico.com, they do have a running tally. Apparently 57.8% of the Republican precincts are reporting with Rand Paul, 4.5%. Now, I don't recall. I think you looked earlier at the Ron Paul numbers previously. Do you recall, Darryl, what Ron received in 2012?
In 2012, he got, I think it was 21, 22%, somewhere
in the Iowa caucus.
In that range.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what about 2008? I'm just curious to know how it compares.
2008, it was less than 10, I believe.
Okay, so sounds like Rand Paul maybe not doing as well as Ron did even his first time around.
And looking on the Democratic side, with 69% reporting, Hillary has just over 50%, Bernie has 48.6%, and Martin O'Malley has 0.6%.
Yep, Donald Trump in at 25% and Ted Cruz at 28.6%. So it still could be anyone's game as far as that is concerned.
Rubio's also over 20% right now as well.
One thing Rand Paul can claim is he did beat Jeb Bush so far. Jeb Bush weighing in at 2.8% compared to Rand Paul's 4.5%. So, Drew, anything else you want to share of your observations besides you feeling that it was a waste of your time to go?
Well, there were a few candidates that had nobody talk for them. Jeb Bush was one of them. And Carly Fiorina, nobody spoke for her. There's a couple people that just stood up and said, well, if no one's going to talk, I'll just say like a couple sentences. And they had one kid who had to be like 9 years old come up and say, I think you should vote for whoever. I don't remember it was, but that's all he said.
Did
Everyone
anybody
clapped.
speak on behalf of none of the above?
No, the way that it works is you have to speak on behalf of a candidate, and there's only one person allowed to speak for each candidate.
Is none of the above an option?
No, but you can say uncommitted, which is basically saying none of the above.
Yeah, I'm looking here.
In my precinct, they just give you like a blank piece of paper and you write your vote on, so that you don't have to check a box. So you could technically write in whoever you want.
There is an other category, and there are approximately 80 votes in the other category in the Republican race, no other votes in the Democrat race, and one uncommitted vote in the Democrat race.
It's from what I understand from the Democrat caucus, you actually have to go stand in a group with all the people that you're voting for, and it's the Republican. You just write the name and that's it.
Yep. We were talking about that in detail in the first hour. So people that want to know more about how the whole caucus process actually works, Darryl got into that in hour number 1 of this episode of Free Talk Live. You can always grab that later on tonight over at freetalklive.com. Drew, thanks for checking in from Iowa, man. I appreciate hearing from you about your experience tonight. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Let's go to Nathan in Texas, also on Skype. Hello, Nathan.
Hi, guys. How are you doing tonight?
What's on your mind, Nathan? Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to disagree with Darryl's prediction on the course of the election at the very beginning of the show.
What was the prediction?
The prediction is that Donald Trump's support is a mile wide and an inch deep. And I think the opposite is going to happen. I think what we're going to see is he'll win in Iowa, likely win the election, and for sure win re-election.
That's a big prediction.
That's a huge prediction. Mm-hmm. Or as Donald would say, that's huge. Just like my support, it's huge.
And my comb over.
So I only spent about an hour trying to research for this call, but there's a bunch of different reasons I think that he's going to be. There's not much that can be done at this point. I think he's for sure going to beat Hillary, and Sanders might be harder, but I don't think anyone wants to vote for Hillary at this point. I guess the Democrats do.
There were 50.7% people voting for Hillary at the caucus, so she's going to have a good showing out there. I think she's going to get trounced in New Hampshire personally, because just based on the signage that you see out and about while you're driving around, and of course it makes sense that would happen because Bernie Sanders is right from next door.
And so I think real quick, let me explain what I think is one of Donald Trump's big selling points, or I don't know, one of the big things in his arsenal is that he's completely reversed the role that normally seems to happen with politicians in the media, where politicians have to watch what they say. And
that's true.
Go to focus groups and so forth. But he's somehow turned it around so that he can literally troll the media. Like, for example, in the John McCain thing, he would say a good thing about John McCain, like, oh, he's a war hero, and then he'll say a bad thing about him, like, oh, well, he got captured. The media will only report the bad thing. This is just one of the many tricks that he has up his sleeve. And then later he can say, oh, well, you see how the media misreported what I said? Huh, aren't they a bunch of losers? And it's turned the dynamic on its head. So he's the one actually shaming the media, and I think that's
and then he walked away from the CNN debate. He didn't actually attend the most recent debate, as I understand it,
right? Because Megyn Kelly was going to be the moderator,
or Fox debate. I'm sorry, whoever the hell it was.
The crazy thing was I saw articles that were declaring that victory, like Fox News has defeated Donald Trump.
It didn't seem to hurt his polling numbers tonight. He's solidly in second place. Now, of course, the big question, one of the things you've said, thanks for the call, Nathan, one of the things you'd said previously, Darryl, is that this could all change as soon as these Republicans start dropping out and endorsing one or the other candidates. So, you may see Donald Trump lose out to one of the other guys if the other Republicans team up and throw their support behind anyone but Trump. Basically. Check out Rich Paul on his website, invisiblehand.church.
Yep.
And fpp.cc for Darryl. We'll see you tomorrow night. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive.
It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more